Hello, you're watching Daily V News and here are the headlines.
National Assembly Chairman Win Sing-hoon talks with the President of the House of Councillors of Japan on issues of mutual concern. The International Atomic Energy Agency is working with relevant agencies on infrastructure of 2 nuclear power plants in Vietnam. Typhoon Beaufort moves over the East Sea, making it the ninth storm to hit the region this year.
President Trương Tấn Sang greeted a delegation from Japan's International Friendship Exchange Council and veterans from countries of the former Soviet Union in Hanoi on December 4th.
Meeting with Japanese delegates, Sang said activities of the council have contributed to enhancing the friendship and cooperation between the two countries. He added that assistance from the Japanese government has helped create multifaceted changes in Vietnam. Vietnam is willing to coordinate with Japan to improve aviation cooperation and human resources training. The delegation head, Nakayaki, highly valued the achievements Vietnam made in socio-economic development. He expressed his belief that the Vietnamese economy will develop fruitfully in the future. He suggested Vietnam create conditions for the two countries' organizations to meet and strengthen solidarity and mutual understanding. Sang gave a warm welcome to 30 veterans from countries of the former Soviet Union, including Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, that helped Vietnam during its struggle for national liberation more than 40 years ago. He said Vietnam's achievements made in the national renewal are inseparable from the veterans' sacrifices and contributions in the past. Delegates recalled their memories of fighting side by side with Vietnamese soldiers in the struggle, stressing that it was their noble duty and honor. They said they hope to contribute to maintaining and improving the friendship between Vietnam and other countries.
National Assembly Chairman Win Sing-hoon on December 5th began his official visit to Japan. Following his arrival, Hoon talked with President of the House of Councillors Hirata Kenji and other Japanese congressmen on issues of mutual concern.
Hoon affirmed that Vietnam's National Assembly, government and people wish to continue strengthening the significant friendship and the comprehensive cooperation with Japan. He expressed his gratitude for Japan's ODA assistance to Vietnam, pledging that Vietnam uses and manages this source of capital effectively. Vietnamese people trust and respect the friendship with Japan even when the government and parliament of Japan made personnel changes, Hoon noted. Kenji stressed that improving cooperation with Vietnam will have developed Japan's relations with other regional countries for peace, friendship, and development. He pledged that Japan will continue to provide ODA to Vietnam and hoped that Vietnam will continue to use and manage the capital at its most. Observing the growing number of Japanese investors in Vietnam, Kenji asked Vietnam to continue improving its business environment, creating favorable conditions for firms from both countries to promote joint cooperation programs and projects. The same day, Chairman Hoon visited the Vietnamese embassy in Japan and met with the Vietnamese community living in Tokyo.
Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng asked the northern port city of Hải Phòng to continue removing obstacles facing its businesses. Dũng had a working session with municipal leaders on December 4th.
The Prime Minister praised the city's comprehensive socio-economic development achievements in 2012 and its estimated GDP growth rate of 8.12% in spite of numerous difficulties and challenges. In 2013, the city should prioritize site clearance and improve administrative procedures in investment, construction, and land management. According to Chairman of the Municipal People's Committee, Dương Anh Điền, Hải Phòng aims for a GDP growth rate of 8.5 to 9%, 51,000 new jobs, and reduce the rate of poor households by 3.15% in 2013. On the day, Dũng met with voters in the city's Hồng Bàng district to inform them of the results of the fourth section of the 13th National Assembly. Voters spoke highly of the effective and flexible measures taken by the government to curb inflation, stabilize the macroeconomy, and ensure social welfare. Dũng assured the voters that the government will direct the ministries, agencies and localities to continue implementing measures to better public health services and remove difficulties from businesses.
The Indian naval ship Samrat, with 22 officers and 115 sailors on board, docked in Marine Police Zone 3, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu Province on December 4th.
The delegation led by Mukesh Purohit, Deputy Inspector General and the ship captain, held a working session with Vietnamese Marine Police to share experiences in combating pirates, protecting fishermen and ensuring safe shipping passage. Purohit expressed his hope to reinforce the traditional relations and cooperation between the two countries through joint training activities and delegation exchanges. The visit demonstrates the solidarities and friendship between the people and armed forces of the two nations and creates an opportunity for young soldiers from both sides to exchange experiences, develop skills with new equipment, and deal with sea violations.
The International Atomic Energy Agency is working with the Ministry of Science and Technology to assess infrastructure development at 2 nuclear power plants that Vietnam plans to build.
From December 4th to 14th, IAEA representatives and experts from the ministry and relevant agencies will discuss the development of nuclear power plant infrastructure following IAEA criteria. Park Jong-kin, head of IAEA Working Group, said the working session will have Vietnam develop necessary facilities for its nuclear power plants. The IAEA will make recommendations that will have Vietnam reduce the gap between its and the IAEA standards. According to Park, during the first trip to Vietnam in 2009, IAEA made 12 recommendations and around 20 suggestions on infrastructure for the country's future nuclear power plants. In August this year, following IAEA guidelines, Vietnam submitted its self-assessment report on nuclear power plant infrastructure development to the organization. We have reviewed our preparations and see that some criteria such as plant location and the country's readiness and commitment to nuclear power plants have been implemented effectively. Vietnam plans to build 2 nuclear power plants in the coastal center Ninh Thuận province. According to IAEA, developing the necessary infrastructure for nuclear power plants takes between 10 and 15 years and is divided into 3 phases. Vietnam now is in the second phase.
Vietnam receives its rice export reached 7.65 million tons this year, the highest ever volume to date. The information was reported by the Vietnam Food Association at a meeting in Ho Chi Minh City on December 4th.
According to the Vietnam Food Association, in the first 11 months of 2012, Vietnam shipped abroad 7.1 million tons of rice, up 5.5% from the same period of 2011 and almost equivalent to the figure of the entire 2011. With an average price of $445.56 per ton, down $43.3 against the level in the same period last year, the export has brought $2.3 billion to the country. It means Vietnamese farmers produced more rice, but they earned less profits, and Vietnam also received less foreign currency from the export. Chairman of the Vietnam Food Association Trương Thanh Thong said the growth in rice export volume is a bright side of the Vietnamese agricultural sector in the context of declining prices of almost all agricultural products in the world.
Typhoon Bopha moved over the East Sea on December 5th, making it the 9th storm to hit the region this year.
According to the National Center for Hydrometeorological Forecasting, by 13 on December 6, the typhoon will be 220 km northeast of Song Tử Tây Island in Trường Sa archipelago of Vietnam. Wind gust is predicted at 118 to 133 km per hour. Since it landed South Philippines on December 4th, the typhoon killed at least 238 people and left hundreds of others missing. Mindanao Island was hardest hit, with 142 died and 241 others still missing. According to local authorities, the death toll is expected to rise. Bhopal has disrupted air travel in the country, with 100 domestic flights cancelled. More than 87 people has also been evacuated. Bhopal is the strongest typhoon to hit the Philippines this year.
And that comes to the end of our news today. Thank you for joining us and see you next time.